All right, so chapter 15, this is the last chapter of the book, and this is the chapter, it kind of brings everything together, okay? Um, in the plot structure of the book, this is what you call resolution. This is when we go from the climax, right, of chapter 14 to the falling action and eventually the resolution of the book. The world famous Watson Pet Hospital, chapter 15. Mom and Dad didn't know I was in the living room. We'd been back in Flint for a couple of weeks and they were still talking about what had happened, but never around us. The only thing I knew for sure was that the bomb was not dropped on the church by an airplane. Grandma Sands called a couple of times and told them that the police thought two white men drove by in a car and threw it in during services, or that they had already hidden it in the church with a clock set to go off during Sunday school. However, it got in the church, it had killed four little girls, blinded a couple more, and sent a bunch of other people to the hospital. I could not stop wondering if those two little girls I saw on the lawn were okay. From my secret hiding place in the living room, I could listen to Mom and Dad, and it seemed like they spent most of the time trying to figure out how they could explain to us what happened. Some of the time, they were mad. Some of the time, they were calm, and some of the time, they just sat on the couch and cried. Even though none of us kids got hurt by the bomb, they acted like they were worried about us. They were not too worried about Byron, and were not worried at all about Joy. We'd all agreed not to tell her what happened at that church, and had left Birmingham that night before she had a chance to find anything out. I was kind of surprised because the way Mom and Dad were talking, I could tell they were most worried about me. They came out of the kitchen and sat on the couch. I knew they were talking about me again. Mama said, "He's been disappearing, Daniel. Hours go by and I don't know where he's at." Well, what does it say when you ask him where he's been? He tells me he hasn't been anywhere. He says, I shouldn't worry. It's so strange. I call him and he's nowhere to be found. But a few minutes later, he just pops up. Well, doesn't Byron know where he goes? He says he doesn't. He is being awfully quiet. Something is wrong. I wonder if Mr. Roberts' friend was right. I wonder if he really did see Kenny in that church afterward. Lord, who knows what that poor baby saw? Wilona, he says he only left Grandma Sands to tell us Joy was okay. I don't know. What can we do? But Joy swears that it was him that she fought away from there. And you know, that child would just as soon die as lie. I just wish I knew where he goes and why. So, obviously, Mom and Dad are concerned about Kenny because they are afraid that what happened in Birmingham and what Kenny may have seen at the church might have scarred him for life, right? And if you think about it, it's not a far-fetched thought. Ken is a young elementary age kid, and he was witness to one of the most atrocious, brutal episodes of American history. And he was right in the middle of it. So obviously, the things that he saw and the experience, right, will probably have a pretty major impact on his psyche, on his life. So they're not wrong to be concerned. But let's see what Kenny is actually doing when he disappears. I had been disappearing, but Mama really not need to worry. I was not going anywhere. I'd just been going behind the couch for a little while every day. There was a big enough space between the couch and the wall for me to squeeze in back there and just sit in a little ball. It was quiet and dark and still back there. Byron called this little area the world famous Watson Pet Hospital. And he made me believe that magic powers, genius, and angels all live back there. I was waiting to see if that was true. He started calling it the world famous Watson Pet Hospital after we noticed that if something bad happened to one of our dogs or cats, they just automatically knew they had to crawl in that space and wait to see if they were going to get better. Since mom and dad had told us the animal doctors cost about $1,000 each time that you went to them, our pets knew they would not be seeing any veterinarians and that the most help they could get was to crawl behind the couch and see if they could make a deal with the magic powers there. If one of our dogs got hit by a car and could walk away, or if one of them chewed through an electric wire or ran away from home and showed up a couple of weeks later, half starved or something they will head right for the back of the couch. If one of our cats got beat up by a dog or spent too much time throwing up disgusting pieces of things or got thrown out of a tree or something, they'll zip straight into the world famous Watson Pet Hospital. Those times when one of our pets got hurt, I'll wake up the next morning and run out of the living room and climb up on the back of the couch and look over to see how it was doing. If I looked down there and the dog looked up at me with sad eyes and banged his tail a couple of times before he put his head back down, or if the cat looked up and hissed at me, I knew that they'd made it through their first night and that the magic powers were probably going to keep him alive. When I looked behind the couch, I just saw a crumpled up yellow towel where the dog or cat had been laying, I knew that Mama will soon be telling us that Sooty or Fluffy or Scamp or Lady or whoever the patient was hadn't done too well and will be spending the rest of time running around happily in cat or dog heaven. But I knew better. I knew this was some made-up garbage. I knew the magic powers had decided not to keep the animal alive, and Dad had got rid of the body before we woke up. It was kind of strange because whatever it was that was behind the couch seemed to work best on dogs. Whenever dogs survived the world-famous Watson Pet Hospital, they always came out a lot friendlier. When they came out, they might walk kind of funny, but it seemed like all they wanted to do was lick you and wobble around after you wherever you went. Blackie had been in the hospital twice, and he got along great with everyone now, even strangers, even cats. But cats were different. If one of them survived the hospital, he'll come out and give you a dirty look and be a lot meaner than it was before it went in. Most of the time after a cat visited the world-famous Watson Pet Hospital, he would not let anyone but Joetta touch it. But that was okay, because most of the time, nobody but Joetta wanted to touch the stupid cats anyway. I was waiting to see if the magic powers were going to treat me like a dog or a cat. Or if when Byron or Joy woke up one morning, they would find a crumpled up yellow towel where I was supposed to be. The only trouble was that the magic powers seemed to be taking a real long time to decide what was going to happen to me. Maybe I was not spending enough time back there. Mama started trying to force me to do more things with Rufus, but it seemed like he had changed while we were gone, and he was not as much fun to be with. Or maybe we can wonder, maybe it's not the Rufus that changed. Maybe it's Kenny, right? That is deeply changed by the experience of Birmingham. Him and Cody got real happy when I gave him my pillowcase full of dinosaurs. I was getting too mature to play with toys anymore. Mama even forced Byron to take me with him when him and Bubhead played basketball, But you did not have to be Albert Einstein to figure out that the only reason the big guys were playing with me was because Byron had threatened them when my back was turned. But what really bugged me the most was when Mama tried to force me to do things with Joetta. I never noticed I never noticed what a little crybaby and snitch she was. Every time that you turned around, she was threatening you to go tell on you, or was whining about something, or being just a plain old pest. After a while, to get even with her, I would not even look at her, and I started hating her guts. I only wanted to come out of the world famous Watson Pet Hospital to eat and go to the bathroom. I even started going into it after Mom and Dad went to bed at night. I started sleeping there. Now, what do you think Kenny wants to spend all of his time behind the couch? Does he actually believe that that little space has healing powers? Or maybe that's his way of coping with what happened. Maybe that's his safe space, right? To be by himself and kind of shield himself from the rest of the world that he knows to be a very dangerous and scary place now because of what he's seen in Alabama. So that's something for you to think about, right? Why is he spending so much time behind the couch, and why does he not want to come out of that little space? I spent so much time there that Byron finally figured out where I was going. I looked up one day, and there were his eyeballs staring down at me. Hi, By. Hey, Kenny. So this is where you've been hanging out, huh? Are you gonna tell me? Man, when you ever know me to be a snitch? Never. Well, you're right. He just kept looking at me. You want me to go get you something to eat? Uh-huh. Byron walked over and turned on the TV and then stuck his head back behind the couch. You want to watch some TV? Uh-huh. His head disappeared and he watched Bat Fink. When the show was over, his head came back. Well, I'm gonna go play some ball. You wanna come? I'll come in a minute. Ty looked like he did not believe me. Cool, later. Even though Byron had that reputation for not being a snitch, I got the feeling that he told on me. When they sat on the couch, Mom and Dad quit talking like nobody was around and got real careful about what they said. They started saying stuff about how proud they were of me and what a nice kid I wasn't junk like that. But it sounded like they'd been practicing what to say. I turned my ears off when they came around. Mama also quit bugging me to find out where I was going. I knew that busted me for sure when Joetta's snitchety little face started peeking around the couch every morning. Byron even started sleeping on the couch at night. Right after Mom and Dad went to bed and I crawled back there, he'll come out with his pillow and blanket. Night, Kenny. Night, bye. And every morning, I'll wake up and Byron will be looking down at me. He will wake me up by touching the top of my head. Hey, Kenny. Hi, bye. You ready to eat? Come on. And I crawled out from behind the couch and let Byron pour out my cereal and milk. After I finished, I said, thanks. Wait, ain't you gonna change out of them PJs? Oh, yeah. And I changed and went back to the couch. Bye was sitting there. Hold on, Kenny. Watch some cartoons with me. Okay, I will in just a minute. And Byron grabbed my arm before I could crawl behind the couch. Now, man, at least stay for Felix the cat. Okay. I sat next to him on the couch. When Felix was over, I thought By would force me to watch some more cartoons, but he didn't. He let me crawl back behind the couch. Check you out later, Kenny. See you, bye. As much time as Byron started spending on the couch, I thought I was going to have to make room for a bed for him in the world famous Watson Pet Hospital. Every time that I would look up, he'll be there, and we'll have to go eat or watch some TV or go to Mitchell's for something or change clothes or stuff like that. One day, his head popped over the back of the couch and he said, "Come on, I got something to show you." I knew that I had to go. If I wouldn't, he would pull me out by my legs. I followed Byron upstairs into the bathroom, and he stood in front of the sink and looked in the mirror. He scrunched his face up so he could see the bottom of his chin. And then he took his thumb and finger and felt around there. He smiled and real slow pulled the thumb and finger away. "Check this out, Jack." I looked real close, and there was a long, skinny black hair growing out of Byron's chin. He held it like it was worth $1 million. "And there's another one coming out too." This made me wonder about my mustache. I hadn't looked at it for a long time and thought it might be pretty long by now. I climbed up on the toilet and leaned over the sink to see. Maybe it was because I hadn't looked in the mirror for a long time. But as soon as I saw myself with my lazy eye still being lazy and my face looking so sad, I slammed my eyes shut and started crying. I even fell off the toilet. Byron caught me and set me on the floor. He knew this was some real embarrassing stuff, so he closed the bathroom door and sat on the tub and waited for me to stop. But I couldn't. I felt like someone had pulled a plug on me, and every tear inside was rushing out. If there was a forest fire somewhere, all that Smokey the Bear would have to do was hold me upside down over it, and the fire would not have a chance. So the image, right, the simile that Cain is using, it's actually a very good one. He is comparing himself to a bathtub full of water, right? So when you pull the plug up, what happens? The water starts draining pretty quickly. And that same thing is happening to Kenny. He's holding for a long time, for weeks. He's held all of his tears back. He hasn't given himself a chance to be emotional about what happened in Alabama, and he hasn't really come to grip with the reality, with what is seen. He hasn't processed, right, the horrible events of Alabama. And now finally in the bathroom with his brother, he finally has a chance to face, right, the event, face reality. He is not hiding anymore, right, behind the couch. And once he does that, all the emotions come rushing out, and that's when he gets really emotional. And actually, you can say that Byron is acting like a psychologist here, as a therapist, right? He is forcing his brother to stop running away from reality and finally confronting what truly happened. Let's continue. Byron sat next to me on the floor and put my head in his lap. I still couldn't stop, even though I was soaking him worse than Joy ever drew on anybody. It was real embarrassing. "I'm sorry, Bye. Shut up and cry if you want." That sounded like a real good idea, so I did. I think I cried for about 200 hours. Was that an example of? Exactly. Why would I do that, Byron? I was sounding real bad. My throat was jumping around in my neck and making a bunch of weird noises. Why would I hurt some little kids like that? He waited a long time before he answered. I don't know, Kenny. Mom and Dad say they can't help themselves, and they did it because they're sick. But I don't know. I never heard of no sickness that makes you kill little girls just because you don't want them in your school. I don't think they're sick at all. I think they just late hate, eat them up and turn them into monsters. But it's okay now. That can't hurt you here. It's all right. My Adam's apple felt like it was gonna blow a hole in my throat. But I said, I did go to the church I saw what happened. I saw two of those little girls. I thought Joy got killed too. We all did, Kenny. There ain't nothing wrong with being sad or scared about that. I'm sad about it too. I got real scared too. But no, man. No one's gonna hurt you here, Kenny. But bye. And I tried to think of how to say it. I'm not scared. I'm just real ashamed of myself. That was it. That was the main thing that I had finally found out from being a patient in the world-famous Watson Pet Hospital. Kenny, you ain't got nothing to be ashamed of. But you don't know what happened, Byron. You don't know what I did. Man, everybody cried. Mom was crying. Dad was scared. He cried too. There was some real scary stuff. There was some real sad stuff. He still did not understand. Byron, I left Joy. I thought the wolf had her. Instead of fighting him like you did, I left. I ran from him. How come you were brave enough to fight him and all I could do was run? All I could save was a shoe, a stupid ripped up shoe. I couldn't stop crying. Oh man, you ain't gonna start talking that wool poo mess again, are you? I told you the wool poo was some made up garbage. I told you the only one I was fighting in the water was your stupid little behind. Wasn't no one in that water but you and me. That's what you think, bye. But I know better. I've seen him twice. I couldn't believe Byron was still talking to me. Most of the time, if I started sounding weepy and whiny, he would take right off. Look, Kenny, if you don't quit talking about that wool poo nonsense, I'ma leave in here and cry all alone. There ain't no such thing as a wool poo. And then he stopped sounding so mean and he said, and there ain't no such things as magic powers either. I was surprised that he brought it up, that he brought up the magic powers. You think I don't know why you've been hanging out behind that couch? He grabbed my ear and twisted my head until I had to look at him. You think I don't know that you're waiting for some stupid magic powers or genius or an angel to make you feel better? Dig this. You can wait behind that couch for the rest of your life and ain't no magic powers gonna come back there and make you feel nothing. Only thing that's gonna happen back there is that you're gonna stunt your growth from being in a little ball all day. He pulled my ear to make sure I was listening. If you've been spending so much time thinking about how you didn't save Joy, why don't you stop and think about why she was not in that church? Why don't you spend some time thinking about who he was that led her away from that church? But it wasn't me, Byron. Man, shut up and listen. He twisted my ear to make me be quiet. Ain't no genius in this world, Kenny. Ain't no magic powers. There ain't even no angels. Not in this neighborhood anyway. Man, I just don't get you. You're supposed to be the one who's so smart. How can you believe in something as stupid as magic powers and genius living behind a couch, but not believe there was a part of you that took Joetta out of that church. Byron started throwing me some curveballs. If you hadn't been born, who would have took it away from that church and that bump? No one. If you hadn't been born and she walked out of that hot church and saw some stranger waving at her from across the street, you think that you would have followed him? Hell no. She'd go right back in there, and if you hadn't been born, who would have gone to that church to see if Joy really wasn't there? Me and Mom and Dad was all too scared. You was the only one brave enough to go in there. And every time he made a point, he twisted my ear to make sure that I was understanding and hearing better. But Byron, it's just not fair. What about those other kids? You know, they had brothers and sisters and mamas and daddies who loved them just as much as we love Joy. How come no one came and got them out of that church? How's that fair? How come their relatives couldn't come and warn them? Byron let go of my ear and thought for a second. Kenny, things are never gonna be fair, man. How's it fair that two grown men could hate Negroes so much that it will kill some kids just to stop them from going to school? How's it fair that even though the cops down there might know who did it, nothing will probably ever happen to those men? It ain't fair. But you gotta understand, that's the way it is, and keep on stepping. Byron let me sniff and wipe my hand across my eyes before he slid my head back into the living room and stood up. He went over and got some toilet paper and wiped my tears and my boogers off his legs. And then he let a couple sheets of toilet paper float down and land on me and said, "Blow your nose, wash your face. You've been behind that couch long enough. It's about time that you cut this mess out. Mom and Dad beginning to think that your little behind is seriously on the blink. Today is the day that you check out of the world famous Watson Pet Hospital. Don't let me catch you back there no more. You ain't got no cause to be ashamed or scared off, nothing. You smart enough to figure this one out yourself. Besides, you getting the word from the top wolf himself. You gonna be all right, baby bruh. I swear on God." He walked over to the mirror and scrunched his face up so he could look at his chin again, and then used his thumb and finger to pull that long, skinny black hair out a little bit. He let the hair go, smiled at himself, and ran his hands along his head like he was brushing his hair. "Shoot," he said. "I sure wish someone would come clean and tell me who my real folks was. Because there ain't just no way in hell that two people as ugly as your mom and daddy could ever have a child as fine as me." He blew himself a kiss in the mirror and then left the bathroom. Before he shut the door, I could see that Mom and Dad and Joy were standing there in a little knot, trying not to let me know they were eavesdropping. Mama whispered, "What's going on, Vi? Why was Kenny crying like that? Is he okay?" And he told her, Ken is going to be cool. He's related to me, ain't he?" Byron Watson, how many times am I going to have to tell you about saying ain't? Some of the time, it was hard to figure Byron out. He was very right about some things, and he was very wrong about some things too. He was very wrong when he said the whoop-poo was something he made up. If he'd ever had his ankle grabbed by it, he would know it was real. And if he'd seen the way they was crouched down, crawling around in the dust and the smoke of the church in Birmingham, he would know he was not some made-up garbage. If he'd ever seen those terrible toes, he would know the whoop-poo was as serious as a heart attack. It was also very wrong about there not being anything like magic powers or genius or angels. Maybe those were not the things that could make a run-over dog walk without wobbling, but they were out there. Maybe they were in the way that your father smiled at you, even after you messed something up real bad. Maybe the special powers, the magic powers, were in the way that you understood that your mother was not trying to make you the laughing stock of the whole school when she'll call you over in front of a bunch of your friends and you spit on her finger to wipe the sleep out of your eyes. Maybe it was magic powers that let you know that she was just Big Mama. Maybe they were the reason that you really did not care when the kids will say, "Yuck, you let your mama slob on you?" And you had to say, "Shut up, that's my mama. We got the same germs." Maybe they were genius in the way that your sister will throw a stupid tea party for you and you had fun, even though it was kind of embarrassing to sit at a little table and sip water out of plastic teacups. Maybe there were magic powers hiding in the way that your older brother made all the worst thugs in the neighborhood play basketball with you, even though you double dribbled every time and then threw you the ball. And I'm sure there was an angel in Birmingham when Grandma Sands wrapped her little arms around all of the weird Watsons and said, "My family, my beautiful, beautiful family." I climbed up on the toilet and leaned over the sink to take a look. And I smiled. Byron was very right about something too. He was very right when he said I was too smart to believe magic powers lived behind the couch. He also knew what he was talking about when he said I was gonna be all right. Joetta banged on the bathroom door. "Kenny, Byron say you're feeling much better now. If that's right, come out. I gotta go to the bathroom real bad." And she said real like it had a million letters in it. Some of the time I wonder if there really was something wrong with me. A few minutes ago, I'd been crying on the floor like a kindergarten baby. And now I was looking in the mirror, laughing. I blew my nose and splashed a little water on my face because I wanted to go out. Besides, I had to think of a way to get at least half of my dinosaurs back from Rufus. Come on, enjoy.